You don't fix a business by replacing its strengths. You double down on what's actually working. So just remember, your brand is not built on big moves or doing the new sexy thing or creating a huge explosion. It's built on repeated, consistent behaviors. Most people ask themselves that. They ask, what should I change? And that's wrong. The better question is, welcome back, guys, to the LFG Energy Podcast. I'm excited about today's topic because I think it's really relevant for a lot of people out there who are solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, business owners, in thinking that a rebrand is going to fix everything. But the truth is, guys, that most people do not need a rebrand. They need to stop sabotaging the brand that they already have. Because what I see right now is people and companies blowing up stuff that was actually working to begin with, just because they got bored or they got distracted or they started comparing themselves to other people that they see online or other companies out there in the marketplace. And they start to think to themselves, if I just go a little bit bigger, if I get a little bit louder, if I do something totally different, everything is going to change. And the truth is, it doesn't. It won't. It actually can oftentimes make things worse. And so I want to talk about these mistakes. I'll give you guys some frameworks. And again, this applies to anyone, whether you are a solopreneur, you're an entrepreneur, a small business owner, even just someone who's in the everyday workforce, but hasn't fully taken control of their personal brand, because this is important for everyone to recognize. And I'm sure that if you've been feeling a little bit stuck, that today's episode will be helpful to you. So let's first talk about the trap of overhauling, because people will think my brand is the issue and that's what I need to change. And so they go nuclear. They come up with a whole new identity, new messaging, new direction, new voice even. Meanwhile, they never stop to ask, what was actually working right now? What were we doing well? And that's the key point in all of this, guys. And if you take nothing else away from this episode, understand this. You don't fix a business by replacing its strengths. You fix it by refining them. Or, as I like to say from my Nevada days, since I come from a gambling state, you double down on what's actually working. Let's think of some examples here. Think about your industry. And for purposes of this conversation and this podcast today, I'll talk to you about my space, which is being in real estate, or more specifically in mortgage. So I'll think of someone here who is good at relationships, educating clients, communicating, and then they stop for a second and get distracted. They look on Instagram or they see online that somebody else that they compete against is doing really flashy, highly produced content. And so what does that person do? They see this and they decide, you know what? I'm going to abandon my strengths and I must need to do that because it looks shiny, it looks flashy, it's sexy. And I try to become a content machine overnight or do something that I'm not already good at. And so what happens? I become inconsistent, incongruent. My messaging gets confusing to the audience. And now I'm left worse off than before. So just remember, guys, comparison doesn't just distract you, it disconnects you from your edge, the thing that already was making you great. So if you're feeling stuck or that business is kind of stagnated or you're just kind of getting bored, and I'll talk about that here in a second, you might then be thinking, I need a rebrand. I need to throw everything out, start over. But you're actually asking the wrong question. Most people ask themselves that. They ask, what should I change? And that's wrong. The better question is, what's already working and why am I not doubling down on it? Because here's the truth, guys, your brand already exists. And for a quick second here, let's just simplify what it is to actually define a brand. How is it defined? I should say better. It gets a little bit confusing when we think about personal brands and business brands. So I'm just going to put it in layman's terms for you because that's what we do here on this podcast. That's what I like to do when I educate people. A brand is nothing more than your reputation. That's it. And your reputation is the sum of everything that you put out into the universe. It's basically linked to behavior. It's a byproduct of behavior. Whatever your behavior is in the marketplace, your behavior in meetings, your behavior on camera, that's your brand. And the truth is, you've already got one. It already exists. You just may not have taken control of it, but it is built on what you deliver, how you make people feel, what shows up to the meeting before you get there, and what people say about you when you're not in the room. So just remember, your brand is not built on big moves or doing the new sexy thing or creating a huge explosion. It's built on repeated, consistent behaviors. So instead of trying to add things, guys, focus on what's actually working. Start auditing. Where am I inconsistent? Where am I under-delivering? Where am I playing small with something that I'm actually really good at? And that last one, guys, is the one to pay close attention to, because that's where most of us, myself included, have missed the ball from time to time. When we're not getting enough business, when things aren't going well, and we think that something big or some kind of a shakeup is needed, we overlook that, one, there are some things that we're doing well, and two, those things that we're doing well, we're probably playing small with. And what we need to do is throw gas on that fire and go bigger, get a little bit louder, a little bit more focused. And that right there, guys, is the gap. It's not your logo. It's not your identity. It's not your tagline or your colors. It's the things that you're already doing well, but you're just not paying close enough attention to them. Okay, so if we understand what a rebrand is really good for or not good for. And if you're following the podcast now, you know I'm basically advocating that it is not a good thing to rebrand, but instead focus on the things that have made your brand what it is to date. Then why do people do this? Why do companies make that mistake of rebranding? Why do they abandon something that's actually working? Well, it comes down to 3 reasons: boredom, comparison, and impatience. So let's break these down. First, with boredom. Look, guys, consistency is not sexy. I heard a fantastic entrepreneur, a guy that I admire and consider a mentor, Chris Harder, say one time from stage that the money is in the monotony. Too often entrepreneurs think that because they're getting bored, that is somehow a sign that they need to be doing something different or they need to completely shift. But the money's in the monotony. If things are boring, but you're actually yielding results from it, that is a sign right there that you need to be doing more of it. So just remember, you don't need to reinvent anything. And that even though doing the same things over and over again while doing them well can feel slow, chasing the dopamine hit over here is not the right move for you. Okay, now let's move on to comparison. And you've all heard the line that comparison is the thief of joy. And this, unfortunately, is something that plagues all of us. And I fall victim to this, guys, from time to time. I'll get out of my own lane and for a second get distracted by what I see others doing online. People that are in my space, whether it's building community or creating contribution or helping people with financial literacy. And I'll think about what's missing from what I'm doing by comparing myself to them rather than focusing on what's actually working. But let's take you, for example. You might see someone else with a bigger brand, more visibility, maybe a little bit of different style. And instead of emulating or thinking, what can I learn from that? You ask, how do I become them? Or what am I not doing right? And why am I not as successful as them or doing as well as them? And that is the exact place at which you will lose. So remember, we want to choose to emulate rather than envy in a bad way. And the last one, guys, is impatience. Everybody wants a shortcut, especially in this day and age of social media where we see everything happening instantly and nobody actually knows what work goes into it. Like take me, for example. You see that I have a podcast, that I create content and that I speak on stages. And you might think, well, he just started there and I want to do that same thing. What you don't know is the hours of content that I actually create to come up with just a few pieces that actually end up hitting social media. Or how many times we've had to redo this podcast right here. Or how many small rooms I spoke in where very few people showed up, or in some cases even stood me up before I ended up on larger stages. So people think one big move will fix everything, but no, it's small, consistent moves. Staying patient, not expecting any sort of instant gratification. And so just remember, there is no single move that replaces daily execution. And this is where rebrands die because they're built on emotion and not alignment. Okay, so let's talk about what actually works then, guys. And let me simplify this for you. A real rebrand is not an overhaul. It's just refinements. And I want to give you guys the framework now. It's 3 parts. First, identify your edge. What do people already trust you for? Answer that question. Not what you wish it was, but what it actually is right now. What do they trust you for? What do they call you for? What do they know you for? Whatever that thing is, guys, number 2 is to double down on it. Do more of it. Do it better. Do it more consistently. And don't let boredom confuse you with being on the wrong pathway. Remember that line always, guys. The money is in the monotony. And the last thing is to remove contradictions. This one's important and where you need to do a little bit of an audit on your brand, your business, what you stand for. Figure out where the incongruencies or the inconsistencies are. Like, for example, if you say, I'm a premium brand, I'm a premium service, but you act reactive, inconsistent, you're unavailable, you're always discounting your services, there's the incongruency. And that is where the problem's going to be. So do that audit, and I think you'll get a lot more clarity around the things that you're good at, what you need to do more of, and what you need to avoid. Because most brands, guys, whether they're personal or business, they don't fail from lack of strategy. They just fail from the lack of alignment and just being hyper-focused like we're talking about here. And guys, I told you here, this was a 3-part framework, but as I'm talking to you, it's actually 4 because there's a bonus piece here that I want to make sure I leave for you. And that is very important. Stay in it long enough. There's a certain point when everyone just kind of taps out. They either get tired or they don't have the stamina or they're not getting the results. And so they just quit or they stop. And we've all seen countless graphics on social media about someone who's digging through a tunnel and they're actually, because you can see it from the outside, just a few more inches or a few more swipes of the axe away from breaking through and getting to the gold or getting to the prize or getting to the other side, but they quit. So just remember that refinement is boring. It's not loud and it doesn't get gratification or applause right away. But that ultimately, guys, is how trust is built. So stay, stick, endure, persevere. So guys, in closing this out, if you are there thinking as a business owner, as a personal brand owner, as an entrepreneur, someone who's starting something that I need to rebrand, just take a deep breath, recall the points from this episode, and remember that you probably don't need an actual rebrand. You just got to focus. You just need to get clearer. You need to get more consistent. You need to stop chasing what everyone else is doing. Focus with that tunnel vision on the things that you're already good at and just stick with that boring monotony. Because this entire journey of entrepreneurship or being a better person or being a more effective brand, guys, is always about hitting the next level. I get it. We're all chasing something, but your next level isn't becoming someone else. It's becoming more of what you are, but just on purpose. I hope you guys are able to take some of this from this episode and apply it within your brand, within your business, within your online presence. I know for me, a lot of these lessons that I'm sharing with you guys are things that I have to revisit every single quarter because I'm a human being and I can get a little bit distracted too. I can fall victim to that comparison trap from time to time. But this is ultimately, guys, how we stay on the right path and avoid blowing up something that's actually already working. I love you guys. I'm always here for you. Please reach out to me and let me know if this episode was helpful. Shoot me a DM on Instagram. Make sure you're checking us out on YouTube as well because we put up a lot of visual aids and sometimes it's just fun to actually watch the episode rather than just listen to it. Keep up whatever it is that you're doing out there. If anything, do more of it, and I will see you guys on next week's episode.